Hello, wonderful people out there. This is Mr. Ukonu, and I welcome you back to another BrainBox series. And today's series will consider a topic titled Emotion is a Terrible Leader. Do you agree with me that emotion is a terrible leader? Now, let's be clear from the very word start. Emotion is not actually what's the enemy, but it is a terrible leader because emotions are quite unstable and they change very quickly. They react instantly. They don't think long term. That is what emotion is. It's on the spur of the moment. And if you don't let them lead your life, your direction will keep changing. Now think about Zidane in 2006 FIFA World Cup final. One emotional reaction in a critical moment led to a red card and changed how the match was ended. Years of brilliance was overshadowed by an uncontrolled moment. Now, or consider Abraham Lincoln. He was known for writing emotional letters when angry, but never sending them. He felt deeply, but he didn't allow emotion to make final decision. That restraint preserved relationship, and strengthened him. And that is the difference between the two. Now feel it, but don't follow it blindly. It's meant to be felt. Emotion is powerful in the moment, but often misleading. When you are angry, everything feels very offensive. When you are excited, everything feels like a good idea. And when you are discouraged, everything feels impossible. That is the emotion you find yourself. But feelings are temporary. Decisions have consequences. And that is where many people lose control of their lives. And they make permanent decisions based on temporary emotions. They quit when they feel tired. They speak when they feel angry. And they spend whenever they feel very excited. At the same time, withdraw when they feel insecure. How long will you continue like that? Then later what comes after it is regret. Because emotion doesn't calculate outcomes. It acts on the spot. It reacts to stimuli. That's exactly what it does. A leader must do more than reacts. Must do more than react. A leader must think before reacting. This doesn't mean that you suppress your emotion. That is not what I'm saying. But it means you put them in the right position. That's exactly what it means. Emotion is a signal. It is not a command. So most times we treat it like a command. It tells you something is happening internally, but it doesn't tell you what the best action is, which is what you must pause and decide. That requires logic, and it requires discipline, and that requires a pause. The most dangerous decisions are made in emotional peaks. Extreme anger, extreme excitement, extreme frustration. And that's why we look at it that in those moments your judgment is compressed. You see yourself compressing your judgment. That's why powerful people create distance from decisions. That's what keeps them powerful. What do? They pause. They reflect. They allow emotion to settle. And when that is done, because clarity lives in calmness. That's where clarity lives. And here's something most people ignore. And what exactly is that? Emotional control is actually a skill. If you don't know that, it is not personality. It is not luck itself, but it's practice. How well have you practiced this? You train yourself to respond instead of to react. Now to listen fully before you speak. You think before you act. You breathe before you decide. And over time, you become very steady at it. You don't just jump into conclusion. Not cold, not for you to be detached. No, not at all. But very controlled. Because you stay in authority, and controlled people are dangerous in a good way. not in the negative, because they cannot be easily manipulated. You can't manipulate them. They don't give away power through reactions. They don't do that. They don't lose focus because of mood swings. They don't destroy their progress because of a temporary feelings. They lead themselves first. That is how they take charge. And self-discipline, self-leadership is the foundation of all leadership. Because we need to know that here is a practical truth shift. Now, the next time you feel a strong emotion, what do you need to do? Just pause and ask yourself what's question. The question you need to ask yourself is, what decision would I make if I were calm? And that question alone is what will save you from mistakes. And if you can answer that correctly, because calm thinking sees it sees consequences. Emotion only sees the moment. That's all emotions will see. You don't need to eliminate emotions. That is not what I'm saying actually. You don't eliminate emotions, but you need to manage it. How well do you manage your emotion? Use it for passion. Use it for empathy. You use it for connection. That is how well you can manage it, but never let it control your direction. Never let it take control of your direction, because a life led by emotion is very, very unpredictable. But a life led by discipline, even in the presence of emotion, is very powerful. And that's what we must note. Emotion can fuel you, yes, but it cannot lead you. That's one thing we must note, because if you want stability, if you want growth, long-term success, you must feel everything, but you must decide very wisely, and that is very, very important. Emotions, when you let it come before you, it ruins you, but when you allow it come behind you, you control it and you stay in power without letting go of your power. Thank you for viewing, and we really appreciate if you're viewed to a time like this. Please don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell that we may bring contents like this your way. And if there is any topic of concern you'd like us to treat, don't forget to leave it in the comment section down below. Activate your brain box today. Thank you.